Righto, so picture yourself going off a jump on your mountain bike, you land, maybe you case the back, maybe you land okay, but you hear a god almighty crack and you think, what the hell was that? Anyway, you stop, you look at your bike, can't see anything wrong, you keep riding, and then you get home, you wash your bike down and you find part of your suspension missing. So see, it's there on this side, it's gone on this side. This is a Norco Sight C2. It's a full carbon bike. It's got pretty high specification. It's got beautiful Fox 38s on the front, Fox Float X2 on the back, but this is the Achilles heel from Norco, and the deeper you go down the rabbit hole, the more you realize that more and more of these have failed. So you go to Norco or your local bike shop and you buy all your spare parts, which is you get this in the kit. You get this in the kit. Hopefully your bike shop will give you this in the kit, and you get two of these outer shims, and there's the part number there, spacer 1, spacer 2, and you think, okay, how on earth does all this go back together and make my bike rideable? So let's get into it. I'll show you how to do it. Now I am going to be using two Allen key sets, because you've got to basically put an Allen key in each side and you'll be screwing these out. And I'm going to take the load off the bike for obvious reasons, so I'm just holding this with one hand. Now what you can see in here, there's a little spacer shim that is in there, so I've got to make sure I don't lose that. Well, there we go. So down comes the bike. Now the next step is to push. This shock is loose now, so I'm just going to use an Allen key, push the old bolt out, like so, and out comes our Fox float. Now you'll notice that there are two shims there, and there'll be one on the inside, and what we have to do is this shim here, actually once these go out, that shim goes in the center of the shock. Righto, so all I've done is put a bit of a plate, a wooden block in my vise. Just going to hold it there, balance that. This is just a bolt so that I can tap this through. So, and there we go, it's starting to come out. Beautiful. So obviously, because I've got this on video, I've got a visual track of where everything's at. So let's hold these. You can see that there's another spacer in there, and we'll go and get the other shim that has to go in there, and we'll see if we can put this back together. So that comes off. Yes, I know my bench is filthy. Now this is the little ferrule that has to slide in there once this white cap comes out. So this comes out, and you can see on the inside it's split. A bit hard to see in the video, but it does. So I'm just using my fingernails just to, and I can feel that coming out. There we go, one, and that will end up going in there. Now the bike shop near me said that if I needed a special tool, that they could help me with that tool, but they also said if you've got a vise, you can do it in a vise. There we go. Now, beautiful. So I'm going to get a little bit of lube, and I'm going to press this in, but that I can feel that that's going in very, very easily. So before I get any further, let's get some lube. Just a bit of high temperature silicone. I use this for heaps of stuff. It's superb. So all I need to do is put a little bit around the outside, and I'll also put some on the inside. And that's the split, if you can see that in beautiful 4K. So just line that up, and there we go, and it goes in. And then if you need to, you can put your little knocking block there, and that's flush both sides, and that is perfect. Now, just as an aside, while the bike's apart and the suspension components are out, it's a good opportunity to clean all this kind of crap off. So this is the result of some fantastic mountain biking down in Tasmania, a place called Derby, which if you haven't been to and you're in Australia, get your butt to Derby. It is brilliant. Alright, so now you can see I've pushed these nuts back in, and the little spaces there, I've left them where they are so that I don't lose those. So what you'll get in your kit, and this little piece of metal with 2 rubber bungs is worth 45 bucks, so don't drop it. So all of these components were $120. That was $45, that's $45, and these little spaces are $15 each, so 90 plus 30, that's 120. So obviously I'd prefer to have the original components on my Norco and not be $120 out of pocket, but obviously Norco knows about this as a failure point, and this is why they're rectifying it, and that is why, in short, that is the original bolt and that is the new bolt. Look at the difference in thickness. I think that's 9.36 mil, and I don't know what that is, but I'll probably throw some calipers on it. It looks like it's about 11 point something, but we'll see. Okay, so that just slips. I have thrown some lube on there, and that will seat in, but it's going to need a little bit more horsepower, so I'm going to take that back to the vise and gently tap that through. Got my shock, got a little tapping block just to protect that. Just going to hold that like that, and that is going to be beautiful. And that is pretty much perfect. So all we need to do now is to make sure that we have the right components. So the first thing that goes on is the little rubber O-ring, then the wide spacer, then the thin spacer. And you might find, as I've just done, that the parts are not quite perfectly aligned, so it just needs another very light, gentle tap with your little whacker. And that is beautiful, ready to go, basically ready for reinstallation. Righto, so what you'll find is that you've got to pull these original shims out, or spacers, whatever you want to call them. Push that out, and the reason is, of course, that the new bolt, which is here, won't fit through that, but it will fit through that. So that is the reason. So put these parts aside. Special Norco steel worth about $1 million. Then we have these two parts, which is 913800 033. There's a little bevel, a chamfer on that. That has to face. So I'm just going to put a little bit of lube on that. Point that in there. Slide this through. I don't think there's any right or wrong in terms of which way this goes in, as in nut on the left or nut on the right. So I'm just putting a bit of lube, a bit of silicone on that. But because the last one, the nut was closer to this side, that's the way that I'm going to put the new one on, just for consistency. Now the other good thing about using a bit of silicone is that it acts as like a bit of a binder and helps keep your elements in place. So there's the bottom of my shock. Just going to put a liberal amount of silicone on the inside of that, so that when this pushes through, and that is a snug fit, and just line that up like so. I can feel that wanting to come through. Don't drop your bike. Alright, this is actually easier when the bike is on the ground, just to wiggle it and align it. Now this is a little bit tight to get in, so I'm just going to gently tap it through. Problem solved. So this has obviously Loctite on it. Now I'm just going to do this up finger tight until I get the right torque for that, but I just want to hold that in place. Righto, so when it comes to doing the top nut, make sure that the little inset ferrule is pushed in to the sleeve of the bearing, rest that in place. You can lift your wheel up. Don't touch your rotor like I try to do with greasy fingers. And that just align it by hand. You can hold it with one hand and just try and get one in. Other side. And ladies and gents, we're done. So I'll check the torques. They're probably going to be something like 6 or 8 Newton meters. Oh, listen to those i9 hubs. Oh, that's like mountain bike porn. And we are done. I'll just do this up, do those up, right torques, which I'll check in a sec, and we're done. Righto, now I don't really lash out on a lot of specialist tools, but I did buy myself this, which is a torque wrench, and I haven't used it a lot, but when you need it, you need it. So I don't believe in leaving torques for nuts and bolts on carbon fibre bikes to chance. So I am going to do this properly. I know that the torque requirement I've checked on the Norco website, and I'll flash that up right now. That is 8 Newton meters, which you can see there. So 8 Newton meters is the way to go, and I need a right bit driver, which will be 6mm, I'm pretty sure. Hey, to save me having to get a socket set out and to save me scratching my bike, I'm going to put a bit of cloth, hold the nut, and do the torque wrench up until I hear a click. Okay, 8 Newton meters. It's the same again for these ones. Those are 5mm. Other side. And we're done. Time to go for a ride. So probably maybe half an hour it took, not videoing. And the whole idea I do these videos is to show that you can do this sort of stuff at home without needing to be a bike mechanic and without particularly specialised tools. The only specialised tool that I've got for any of this is a torque wrench. So anyway, onwards and upwards. Oh yeah, got some of the gaggle of bikes there. So this is ready to go. Very happy about that. Can be back on the bike in no time. Righto, thanks everyone.